Can banana prices peak in October, and where is the potato price heading? In this week's AMT Fresh Produce Market overview made possible by Fieldnet Pivot Watch, we focus on these aspects and also take a closer look at the latest fresh produce prices in South Africa. All in this week's episode, so make sure to stay tuned. The rand strengthened to 17.84 Rand per US dollar, which is approximately on the same level as in March 2023. However, we expect the rand to trade mostly sideways for another week or so until the interest rate announcements are made next week. The Brent crude oil price is trading significantly lower at $71.62 per barrel. Since last Monday, the Brent crude oil price decreased by about 8% due to the weakening demand for oil specifically from the US and China as their economic growth begins to slow. Saudi Arabia has also lowered its official selling price, indicating weak demand in Asia at the moment. Additionally, Libya's production is expected to increase soon, which forced OPEC to delay the proposed 180,000 barrels per day increase until December, hoping that demand will improve by then. This is of course all putting severe pressure on the oil prices at the moment. Over in the vegetable markets, we saw the average national potato price increasing by about 10% to 91.21 Rand per 10 kg, with volumes still staying on a relatively higher level last week. On Monday this week, the average price increased to about 96 Rand, with volumes also higher week on week, and makes me wonder why the price are trading at these high levels at the moment. The large potato price traded higher last week on 102 Rand, mediums on 89 Rand and smalls higher on 68 Rand per 10 kg. Mondials traded higher on 96, Cifras also higher on 98 and Lenormas currently on 80 Rand, with the average price on the Joburg market increasing to 91 Rand 76 per 10 kg. As mentioned, we're still seeing more volumes on the markets compared to frost-effective previous years, which could limit the upward movement of this price over the next 2 to 3 weeks. I, however, still think that we will see higher prices and lower volumes over the second part of this month. The average onion price remained in its downward trend, decreasing by 1% to 54.80 per 10 kg, mostly due to red onion prices decreasing and pulling down the average price as well. Brown onion prices stayed on 53, red onion prices decreased to 88, while the average white onion price stayed on 55 Rand per 10 kg. The average large onion price traded on 51, mediums on 62 and smalls a bit higher on 41 Rand per 10 kg. I still think that this price can decrease towards the end of the year and possibly move and stay below the 50 Rand mark from October until December of this year. Over in the tomato market, we saw the prices increasing by about 19% the past week to 14.30 Rand per kilogram, with volumes also increasing by about 3% week on week. Large tomatoes traded on 15.02 Rand, mediums on 14.26 Rand, while smalls increased to 12.64 Rand. We're still expecting volumes to the markets to pick up from here on out, which will, combined with a lower middle month demand that we can see very soon, likely drive these prices downward over the next 2 weeks. I also think that more volumes can then keep this price on a lower level during October as well. The average carrot price increased by 6% to 4.56 per kilogram, while volumes increased by 9% week on week. Large carrots traded on 4.61, mediums also higher on 4.26, while small prices increased to 3.45 per kilogram. We're expecting volumes to stay on a higher level for September and October, which could force prices closer to the 4 Rand mark until then. Prices can then stay lower in November, but we usually see a strong upward movement in December, usually due to better demand over that period. The average pepper price increased to 22.71 Rand per kilogram, while green pepper prices increased to 19.52 Rand. Yellow peppers increased to 19.22 Rand, while red peppers traded about 9% lower on 33.66 Rand per kilogram. During September, the price can stay on a higher level, but expect higher volumes to force prices downward in October and November of this year. If you're heading to Nampo Cape this week, make sure not to miss the Zimmatic stall. They're at stand 119 and can show you exactly how Fieldnet Pivot Watch can make your life easier. Fieldnet Pivot Watch. Monitor any pivot, anytime, anywhere. The average cabbage price decreased to R3.69 last week and is now 73% higher than a year ago. We're still expecting this price to move significantly downward and trade below R3 again towards the end of this year. Garlic prices decreased to R89 per kilogram and is also likely to stay in its downward trend for the rest of this year due to higher expected volumes. The spinach price, however, increased by about 20% last week to R4.37 due to 13% lower volumes reported on the market. We're expecting volumes to pick up in September and October, which could, coupled with lower demand over the next 2 weeks, drive prices downwards for now. Sweet potato prices increased to R7.60 per kilogram and will likely stay on a higher level during October and November as well. The average pumpkin price increased to R2.34 last week and will most likely also trade higher in September and October due to lower volumes. Some of our viewers asked to include the latest green bean and cucumber prices as well, which we did in our daily fruit and veg report, which is available on our WhatsApp groups. The average green bean price traded on R17.83 on Monday, while cucumbers traded on R15.57 per kilogram. Over in the fruit markets, the banana price increased to R8.63 per kilogram, which is about R155 per 18 kilogram box, with volumes increasing by 4% week on week. The average price is likely to stay in its upward trend for the remainder of this year, but lower middle month demand over the next 2 weeks can limit some of this upward potential over this period. We're seeing similar volumes compared to 2020 at the moment, with the price also remaining pretty much on similar levels. In 2020, the average price peaked in October at around the R10 per kilogram mark. It will be very interesting to see if it will happen again this year. The latest apple price increased to R10.95 last week and is now about 11% higher than a year ago. We're still expecting apple prices to move above the R13 mark in November, when prices are expected to peak. The latest pear price stayed on R10.28 and can also increase further from October until December due to lower expected volumes. The orange price increased to R6.20 the past week, with volumes decreasing by about 21% week on week. We can possibly see similar price levels until the end of this month, but expect the price to trend significantly higher from October onwards, when volumes usually see a significant reduction. The avo price decreased by 6% to R20.09 per kilogram last week, with volumes about 2% lower week on week. Viertes traded lower on R29.36, Haas traded higher on R14.82, while the average Pinkerton price increased to R20.56. I still think that the price can stay in this upward trend until November. The average table grape price increased slightly to R67.86, pineapples traded higher on R13.96, lemons decreased to R5.85, while the average blueberry price traded about 2% higher on R68.43 per kilogram last week. This video is made possible by Fieldnet Pivot Watch by Lindsay. Make sure to leave your comments on our YouTube and Facebook videos for more information. You can also download our detailed reports on amtrends.co.za. I'm Dr. Johnny van der Merwe, and thank you for watching.